Good morning, folks. So glad you joined us here this morning. My name is Geoff.
I'm Helen.
And we are coming to you from our studios here, Table Talk number 23.
Unbelievable.
It has been going by fast, but man,
Yes.
I tell you, we have really been enjoying the series that we've been putting it on. Not only for our own sake, but just to hear the comments of people all around who are really enjoying and benefiting from what we're doing here. And so it's so grateful, and I'm so glad you're with us. And we're going to tackle into key number 5, and overcoming whatever life throws at us. But before we do that, it is Father's Day.
Yes.
And we want to honor the fathers today in the recognition of what input they have in our lives. And I want to introduce you to my dad. His name is Jake. And I just want to tell you how much I appreciate him and the input that he's put in my life. I know I probably put him through the ringer many, many times as I was growing up.
I think you did.
And I probably put the white hair on his head, I'm sure, But I just want to tell you, Dad, I just so appreciate you. And I genuinely have a love and a heart for you. And I just thank you for investing in my life and continuing to invest in my life. And I want to wish you a happy Father's Day and just a blessed day this Sunday morning. And thank you for being my dad.
Yeah, and I want to honor my dad. His name is Abe. Never called him that. He's just been Dad to me. And Dad, I love you. You have poured into our lives. You've been such an encouragement. You are a prayer warrior. You are always speaking life to us. And I just want to say thank you for just who you are.
Absolutely.
And we love you, and I want to honor you today, Dad.
Yeah, absolutely.
And we miss seeing you guys.
We live quite a distance away, but they come and our parents come visit every now and again, and I think everybody enjoys that kind of stuff. And so, if you're a father this morning, happy Father's Day.
Yes, we want to wish
Interesting
you
today.
Yes.
You're in Saskatoon.
I am?
You are in Saskatoon.
Where are you?
I'm in Winnipeg.
What?
How can we be here?
How can we do this?
In Saskatoon and Winnipeg all at the same time. It's a miracle. It's a miracle.
Well, we're talking about the 5 keys. Is this a key?
The key is key number 5 is the miracle to your breakthrough. Just kidding. Absolutely.
Just kidding.
But it's interesting this morning as we've had some opportunity to do some traveling this weekend, and so we're here earlier recording this, and I just want to tell you that I think all the keys are important.
They are.
And I think when we understand that key number 1 is believing that it's possible. And that is so significant.
Such a foundation.
Because that's where it starts. If we don't believe that it's possible, we'll never enter into the life that God has us to live. Mm-hmm. And we've been telling you all along this series that it doesn't happen overnight. This is all a process. We're building something. It's like we're constructing a house, and it builds with that foundation. And the greatest foundation is believing, first of all, that God desires me to be free. He's purposed me to be free. And He wants me to live in that freedom every day, no matter what life throws at us.
And you know what? Sometimes it's just that word, just that piece of good news, just that that word of hope that actually bursts that faith in somebody else.
That does. I like how you put it.
It
bursts that faith. And
it ignites that.
And one of the things that we want to do in this series is put that reality in your heart and your life, that faith is birthed as we sow the seeds to it. And so key number 1, we said, was believe that it's possible. Then we said key number 2, to walking in this fullness, to receiving everything God has for us, that we can overcome everything life throws at us. Key number 2 is significant too. And that is we got to learn to reframe how we see things. Because we've been saying all along, baby, that how we see things directly affects how we live out life in front of us. And
you know what? If we see wrong, when the circumstances shake, we shake. If the wind starts blowing, we topple over with it.
Absolutely.
There's no strength when we don't reframe how we do things.
Absolutely. Right? And reframing isn't something that we just take a pill. It's something that we have to practice. And one of the things that we said in the series is we have to learn to stop and take a step back And when we take a step back, we begin to see things from another perspective. And we see, because it's easy to be inundated by our situation. The voices speak, the wind whirls, the sounds are there, the feelings are all so significant, and we got to be careful because oftentimes we begin to see what we see, and then we identify with what we get, and it becomes a part of our character and about our life. And that's why we got to learn to reframe the way we see things. How important is framing to a house? We're talking construction.
Yeah. Huge. You probably know more than I do the benefits of having the frame right.
Absolutely.
The frame strong, the solid beams. You need those.
Absolutely. Yeah. And so we want to encourage you, step 2 of this keys to overcoming whatever life throws at us is we have to reframe the way we think. Listen carefully because it's important. We can have different perspectives than what we automatically go to.
Yes.
And that's part of the whole promises of God. We've been going through Luke chapter 4 and in Luke chapter 5, in Luke chapter 5, it's given us all 5 keys for us to overcome. And we've watched characters, we've watched people deal with obstacles and how they were longing for the breakthrough and how they began to believe that was possible, how they began to rearrange their thinking because thinking is very, very important to how we walk through life. Our mindsets, how we see things, how we view things. And God speaks to us in so many ways through His Word of who we are. And when we understand who we are able to start living the potential that God has us for.
Turning the key. Opening another room.
Absolutely. Key number 3. What did we say key number 3 was?
Key number 3 was, get the plumbing and the power source. They are in order.
Yes.
And so it's prayer. It's living in that place of awareness that we're connected.
Absolutely. I think it's important for us to understand that way of phrasing because many times we have a skewed picture of what prayer is. I know for me, prayer is a trigger word. When you talk about prayer, my walls go up, my distance goes, I want to remove myself because I don't fit that mold of a good Christian prayer where we fold our hands, give her lists and beg and plead and give her all. It's rather prayer is recognizing that we are connected to the source. And when we recognize that we're connected to the source, everything the source is available to us. And that's why many times Jesus, when He was on earth, always spoke from that perspective. You have not because you've asked not. You don't know who you are because I go to the Father and when He reveals His will, it is available to you. And all through the New Testament we hear God speaking life to us because the source of the Father is life.
It is life.
And so prayer is simply recognizing our connection with God and how that is key to us walking and overcoming in life. And that's recognizing that source. We talked about plumbing, how oftentimes, and that's not right, things get plugged up. And many times in my life, I've experienced being plugged up. And when I don't address that issue,
you know what?
It becomes worse and worse, and it starts spilling all over. And you are going to have a
sewer blowout.
You will. Absolutely.
It's going to blow up, and it's going to stink. It's going to be messy. But it doesn't have to be that way.
Right. That's the encouraging thing, folks. It doesn't have to be that way. God's promises His truth when we're connected to the source, and that's And that's the connection is sonship and daughtership. We belong.
Yes.
It's not something that we work for or it's something that we try to obtain. It's not something we pray and earn and try to line up. But it's recognizing that we are connected.
Yes.
And that when we recognize that we're connected, everything the Father is available to us. And so that's amazing. Key number 3. Yeah. Key number 4 was last week. We talked about it.
Was an awesome one.
Yes, Wednesday. It was personal. We worked through it all. Yeah. Key number 4 is what?
I can't remember right now, but it was awesome.
We can't remember it now. Look at your notes. Key number 4 was incredible. We need to find that. We need to find that.
Hang on, guys. You can't do it alone.
Yes.
You can't do it alone.
That was significant because many times we find ourselves learning to do things, isolating ourselves. We're afraid that if people get to see the real us, and so many times, and as a pastor, we recognize this, and sometimes we hide ourselves behind masks because we're afraid of people to see the real us. And we've got to learn. If we want to walk and experience overcoming, we can't do it alone. Lone rangers have no room in this kingdom of heaven. It doesn't work. We need each other. And how we looked at Luke chapter 5 and where the paralytic needed help to get to Jesus. And so that was incredible.
Friends helped him bring him to his breakthrough.
And we talked about too.
That's really cool.
We talked about too that we don't just let anybody in.
No,
we need to let the right people in. And one of the key things, and this is important to know, one of the key things to know if these people are right is, are they transparent? Are they real? Are they afraid to hide? Or are they afraid to just be vulnerable with people and talk about their struggle and issues they're working through? Because oftentimes it's the ones that are isolated themselves that have all the answers for other people and want to help, but yet they themselves are not willing to open up their life and be transparent.
And you know, the people that really I look up to, and I have found in my life, the people I listen to are those that are so real and vulnerable with their own journey, with their own mess, and how they've overcome. And it just speaks so much hope and life to the next person. So when you can be vulnerable and somebody helps you, you can share your real story and bring hope.
Absolutely.
And give somebody else the tools for their breakthrough.
I think one of the
that's powerful.
Absolutely. I think one of the greatest things that's had impact on me is watching people I look up be vulnerable to me and say, hey, I don't got it together. Sometimes everything just falls apart and I have to pick up the pieces. But I'm learning, I'm growing, and I want you to be honest with God. I want you to be honest with people. It's wearing a mask is just not healthy.
No, it isn't.
It keeps us bound. And so when we're looking for that in other people's lives, we need to say, are they transparent? Are they open? Are they honest about their struggles? Do they come across they have it all together? Those are usually a sign that they're not they wouldn't be worth investing in for that relationship. And so honesty, openness, and vulnerability is powerful.
It takes humility.
Absolutely. Now we're going into key number 5, folks.
Today.
Key number 5, the last one. We've unlocked 4 key doors for us to overcome.
4 tools.
4 tools. And again, we've been talking about tools. What's significant about tools?
You know what? I love that because once you know you have that tool in your treasure chest, you can actually go and open that thing up and you can find it again. And you can use it again. Because you know what? Life does that. Life is sometimes like you know what? I thought I overcame that and something else slams you in. And that something pops up again that you're like, okay, I need to go back and get that tool. Because I know I have found freedom with that. Let's go back.
The best thing about tools is we can share them with others. They're not just for us.
That's right.
Us living in overcoming ability and overcoming the things that life throws at us aren't just for us. We can learn from each other. We can help each other in that process.
That's awesome.
So key number 5, babe. Key number 5. Key number 5 to overcoming whatever life throws at you. It's important. This is an important one because this is often the one that slips away from us. We're enjoying freedom. We've experienced a fresh picture of what's going on.
We begin to reframe our view.
We're beginning to reframe how we think. We're breaking through stuff. And we're recognizing who we are, who God made us to be. We're believing what God's word tells us. All those aspects of our life are starting to happen, and it's almost like we get in a little bit of a ride, and it's just exciting and wonderful.
And it is.
And it is, absolutely.
It
but
is.
this one can slip us and get us right back into the same thing, and that freedom is taken away.
Okay.
What is it? Key number 5 is to forget those things which are behind. I don't know about you folks, but my memory serves me sometimes too well. Other times,
yes,
it doesn't serve me well. When I want to remember names, sometimes I don't remember names.
Yes.
When I want to remember dates, sometimes I don't remember dates.
Yeah.
Sometimes I'm supposed to remember a certain code,
yes,
and I forget that code.
Yes.
I'm in Greek right now, and I'm learning vocabulary and things like that. And sometimes I find myself forgetting them.
Yeah.
Sometimes I do one thing and I walk away and I've already forget that thing.
Yeah.
But one thing that I don't forget many times is what my struggle was, or going back to my perspective that was so naturally formed before.
Yeah, and you know what? I think when life throws a loop, or somebody says something, or all of a sudden you revisit something in the past that's been that has wounded you, or it's been, a negative experience, it can actually, all of a sudden you begin to look back and you just jump right back into that negative cycle.
I like what someone said to me in driver training. You can't get anywhere forward looking in the rearview mirror.
Yes.
How often do we look in the rearview mirror? All the time. Many times do we look. And then we get sidetracked. And
so in this journey, honey, let's read Luke 5 and just see what this picture looks like walking through this.
Absolutely.
Because we can always, see how that
and
applies.
It's interesting, Helen and I were talking before, and it's significant how all 5 keys are in Luke chapter 5.
Yeah.
We've seen all of them in Luke chapter 5. And even as we were discussing where we wanted to go and how we wanted to bring key number 5 across, and going through Luke chapter 5 just quickly, and starting to get us familiar with some more of the scripture in Luke 5, all of a sudden something jumped out at us. And it starts in verse 27 and verse 28, right?
Yep.
So it says in verse 27, listen carefully, this is pretty cool, of how key number 5, leaving what was behind. Not staying where we were, stepping into a new realm, and leaving the old realm behind.
The old
and that doesn't happen easy.
No,
that's part of the process.
I have that written down. It sounds easy. It's not. This can be a challenge. Yeah.
In Luke chapter 5, starting verse 27, it says, later, as Jesus left the town, he saw a tax collector.
Yes.
Now it's interesting, the Greek makeup of this word, he saw, Jesus purposed to head to the tax collector.
Yes.
He purposed it.
Yes.
I want to tell you, God doesn't do random things in your life because he's got nothing better to do.
That's right.
He is very purposed and personal with each of us.
Yes, he is.
That's powerful.
Yeah.
He's purposed. Yeah. So it says here, Jesus left the town and he saw. It was with purpose.
Yes.
He didn't notice. He purposed that seeing. Yeah. He saw a tax collector named Levi sitting at his tax collector booth.
Yep.
Follow me and be my disciple, Jesus said to him. Verse 28. This is significant. So Levi got up, left everything, and followed him. Left everything.
Wow.
Something shifted in Levi's life.
Yes. I know my version says Matthew. Matthew's the one who wrote it.
Yes.
And so he just, it goes to different names, but I looked up kind of a little bit of the tax collector life, and they were really an outcast. Really, for the religious person, for sure, they were not even allowed. They were not redeemable. They were totally on the outside. He was a total outsider. And all the other people hated him because he was taking their money.
Yes,
he was
that's right.
He was in a position where he was successful, but he wasn't accepted.
Yes.
He wasn't accepted anywhere. He was a misfit. He was not accepted. Jesus went after him.
That's what I find was so significant. Sometimes we've allowed circumstances to beat us up, and we find ourselves in a messy situation, and we feel like we're unapproachable. Just stay away.
Yes.
But Jesus isn't like that.
No.
He pursues us with purpose because he sees our value.
Yes, he does. And you know what? He is there to break you out of the system.
Yes.
Because he broke out of the system.
Yep,
Jesus
that's right.
was not living by the system. And he invited
I love
Matthew.
that. I love
he
that,
says,
sweetheart. I love that.
come on. I am giving you invitation to break out of the system that holds you down.
Yes.
It makes you
Yes.
stay in the familiar. It
Yep.
makes you stay in that negative place. People hate. He says, I am inviting you. Come on.
Yeah. Come follow me.
Follow me. I'm going to show you this
Yeah.
growing journey. Be my disciple. It's saying, I am inviting you
The
to
whole-
a growing journey.
The whole idea of a disciple is a
Yes.
growing journey.
Yes, it is.
It's not instantaneous. It's
No.
something that develops as we go.
Yes.
As we learn.
Yes.
And that's so significant when we have breakthrough in our life, using these keys to break through in our life.
Yeah.
That number 5 key is important. We have to learn to leave the past behind.
Leave the old system.
Paul says
the
this
familiar.
in Philippians. He
Yeah.
says, one thing I do is I forget those things which are behind and I move toward what is ahead.
Yeah.
Why? Because what is behind? Behind can be success.
Yeah.
Behind can be good things.
Yes.
But he refuses to allow what's behind him
Yes.
influence him to
Yeah.
what's going ahead. Why?
Yes.
Because when we follow Jesus, it's always into the fresh and the new.
Yes.
That's what makes things alive.
Yes.
You look at anything that's alive, it's always moving, always
Growing.
shifting, always changing,
Yep.
always growing.
Yes.
That's the same with our faith.
Yes.
And many times we've fallen into this. Our faith has been stale, old, and unchanged.
Yes.
We've hung on to things in the past, whether they're negative or positive. But the unique thing, what makes faith alive, is we leave what's behind us to growing and experiencing new, fresh stuff.
Yes. That is where life becomes abundant.
Yes.
This key
Absolutely.
is to bring you into abundance. It is leaving, breaking out of the system. And I'm telling you, we have been here. We have
Absolutely,
been
we
there
have.
when life throws. When all of a sudden it feels so much darkness around us, we can't see. All of a sudden we want to retreat
Yeah.
back into the familiar, back into that old
I think
system.
that's an important word, familiar.
Yes.
Because the question that I wanted to ask is,
Yeah.
why is
Why?
it then so easy to go back in the familiar? Because it's what
Yeah.
we know.
Yes.
And especially when we're in a situation in our life
Yeah.
where things are confusing, things are dark, stuff are being thrown at us,
Yes.
where do we revert to safety?
Yes.
In what we know.
Yes.
And what we know is important because it's got us to where we are now. But it doesn't keep us there.
Yeah.
We've got to keep pushing forward. And it's
Yes.
interesting, in Luke chapter 5,
Yeah.
after Jesus gave this invitation, basically saying to Matthew, the Levite,
Yeah.
you're important
Yes.
to my purposes and you're important to your purposes. Come follow me and we're going to change the world.
Yes. Yes.
And then it says, this is
Yeah.
important and significant.
it was huge.
And Levi got up and left everything. Now, I thought of that.
Yeah.
He left everything he knew.
How the heck?
He left everything he knew.
Yes. Yeah.
He left it behind him. I want to be the biggest encouragement in your life. Walking in freedom
Yeah.
is always leaving what's behind.
Wow.
Leaving what's behind.
Yes.
Behind.
Yeah.
Because the moment we slip back into what we know, we close up the opportunity for something new. Is it easy? No, it's not
because
easy.
we have gone back, honey.
We've gone back.
We've gone back
And I think
sometimes.
sometimes that's part of the process
Yes,
too, because
because we're
because
not
we're
sure
familiar,
how
we're not sure, we go back.
Yeah.
And you know what? We can't beat ourselves up for that.
No.
As long as we understand, key number 5 is leaving those things, leaving what's behind.
Yeah. Yeah.
That is so key, because
Yes.
many times that's our tendency.
Yeah.
That's my tendency.
Yes. Yeah.
Is to go back to what's familiar.
Yeah. And you know what, honey? I think one huge thing is even the invitation when Jesus says, come, follow me, be my disciple. Don't stop growing
Yes.
and changing. Don't be so boxed in, oh, now I know it all. Because we've been there too in our faith. Like,
We've been there,
now
folks.
now we know
have
it
been
all.
there. Now we have it all. We are put together. We have the
n-
truth. Oh, yeah, we've
now we-
been there, walked all that road, and what a mess that is.
And then we put up our own system and walls.
Yeah.
And then there's outsiders over there. No.
And then we judge people based upon, well, we know the truth. Well, they don't, and they're not
Yes.
free. And we have to knock those walls
Yes.
down because everybody is
Yes.
on a journey. And
Yes.
we want to encourage people in that
Yes.
journey. Keep growing.
Yeah.
Believe.
Yes.
Believe that is possible.
And you know what? Sometimes when we've been there, honey,
Yeah.
we've had our own crisis of faith. We've had our
have.
faith crisis, and
Yeah.
we're saying something is not working.
Yeah.
And
I
it's
remember specifically
Yeah,
sitting in Vernon, BC,
yeah,
and seeing my Bible on the counter
yeah,
in the living room and saying, it doesn't work.
yeah.
But does it? I had to begin to change my view.
That was a beginning.
That was, to me, I want to tell you folks, to me, Vernon, British Columbia
Yeah,
was the place where I began to walk on the journey to overcoming whatever life throws at me. I came to a crisis of my belief. I came to a crisis of my faith because for all these years, I was told what to believe. This is what's true. This is what you have to confess. This is something you have to hang on to.
This is how
And
you
it
do it.
never, I want to be honest with you, it never became personal until that moment where I said, I want to get to know Jesus.
yeah,
Not religion,
yeah,
not church structure,
yeah.
not church doctrine, not theology.
No,
I want to get to know Jesus. And for the first time in my life, I can say,
yeah,
as an adult, the door began to open
yeah,
to experiencing
Yes.
the real Jesus.
yeah, yeah,
Because for years and years, the Jesus I got to know
yeah,
was a Jesus of theology, Jesus of doctrine, Jesus of the system, and Jesus of look out, here I come.
yeah.
And man, that shifted my thinking. That was just a starting block.
Yes, it was.
I went through a lot of hurdles.
Yes.
But for the first time, I began
Yeah.
to believe
Yeah,
that my life does not have to be defined how I was told it needed to be defined. And when my lights came on, the
Yeah.
faith became real for the first time.
Yeah.
And all of a sudden, I seen myself breaking out of the shell and the mold that I was forced to be in.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
And wow.
And you know what?
And wow.
Yeah. And now, when we're reading even just Luke chapter 5, Jesus was breaking that guy out of the system. He broke another person. He was a jailbreaker. He broke through people's
Yes.
mindsets, society, church system. He broke through it all, saying
Yeah.
there is a freedom to live. There is
Absolutely.
an abundant life. There is an
Absolutely.
overcoming power
Absolutely.
and life to live. And he began to demonstrate it. And there must have been something about Jesus that when Levi heard that invitation, he's like, I am all in. I am so done with the system. I am so, and he
understood the system.
he left it.
He used the
left.
system.
Yes.
He benefited from the system.
Yes.
And
To
sometimes
promote himself.
and sometimes we do that in Christendom. We
Yep.
use the system to benefit
Yes.
us.
Yeah.
When he wants to break us out of that system.
Wow.
And it's when we break
Wow.
out of that system,
Yes.
we start experiencing overcomingness
Yes.
that we strive for so
Yes.
long, and it
Yeah.
becomes a real reality in our
Yes.
life.
Yes. So, and I love that because at the end of this chapter, it talks about you can't pour new wine into old wineskins.
That's right. That's right
So-
at the end of Luke chapter 5.
Yeah,
Yep.
it is. And so it's almost like these challenges, these keys are meant to give us new wineskins, new way of thinking, new
Yeah.
way of seeing, and all of that, our new foundation laid.
Right, yeah.
So that when the fresh comes, we're not like,
Yes.
no, I can't go any further. No.
Yes.
Receive new, fresh. Keep on growing.
Yeah, that's right.
Never stop.
Yeah.
As soon as we stop growing, we make a system here, and
Yeah,
then
that's
all
right.
of a sudden
Yeah,
we go back into cycles.
that's right. Yeah.
We do.
And I can relate to cycles because I'm prone to cycles.
Yeah.
But one thing that I'm recognizing now when I start getting into a system
Yeah.
And before it never was. It was like automatic.
Yes.
But that's the thing, when we continue to grow and continue to learn, continue to develop, all of a sudden we begin continually building on that foundation of our life.
Yes.
And all of a sudden the stuff behind us isn't as nearly as attractive anymore.
Yes.
It doesn't give us the satisfaction we thought it once did.
Yes.
All of a sudden we strive for the continually the new.
Yes.
Always the new and the fresh.
Yes.
And the Bible tells us that his new every morning
his
mercies
his loving
are
kindness.
fresh.
It's fresh. And I want, because that's how we're getting to know God.
That's right,
He
we
is
are.
fresh. Every moment, every day.
Yes.
For you. He wants us to experience fresh, because that's how we keep growing.
Absolutely,
fresh. Yeah. And it keeps on us moving, building.
That's right. Absolutely.
Yeah. It's amazing.
We just want to encourage you that, there's a lot of resources and help with all of these keys. Yeah. I'm glad we're not left alone. There's a lot of books on renewing your mind, changing your thinking patterns.
Yeah.
I'm thinking of Joyce Meyer has come with a lot of good material on the battlefield of the mind.
Yeah.
I remember a significant one in my life was Casey Treat, called Renewing the Mind.
Yes.
And it just began to understand that. I remember when we were taking our trip to Arizona, I was going through cognitive thinking and how our brains work and how we can look at things differently, and how important it is for us to always align ourselves with the truth, and how important it is to align ourselves with what God declares over us, and how we can step back and take another perspective of how we look at things, because there's always more to the picture than what we see. And I began asking those questions. Okay, why do I feel this way? Yes. Why do I want to go back? Because I want to get back into the familiar.
Yes.
This is my safe zone.
Back in that old
system.
Even
though it wasn't safe.
No.
But it had the perception it was safe, so it's easy to go back into the old system again and go, okay, this is familiar.
Yes.
But we don't grow in the familiar.
No.
We grow in the fresh and the new.
Yes.
And so then I began to recognize that in my life. And sometimes it's sitting down with a professional counselor to help walk through some of that stuff. And that's okay, because key number 4 is we can't do it alone.
That's right.
And sometimes it's outside help that just gets us understanding why our patterns are the way they are, why our habits have formed the way they have. And as a result of those, when we recognize those things, then we can address them and apply those keys to that very issue.
Yeah.
It can be a flat tire, it can be a windshield wiper doesn't work, it can be pink papers that are coming in from our job, and difficult things. Yeah. But when we learn to open up our tool chest and begin to apply those things to our life, wow.
Yeah.
All of a sudden, what came against us and hurt us, all of a sudden doesn't have that power and authority over us, because now we're rising above that. And I know that we're talking to overcomers.
Yes, we
are. You may not feel like an overcomer, but we're talking to you're an overcomer.
Yes.
And we want you to start thinking as an overcomer, because not because it's just simply what a good thing to do. It's because God has declared that over you. And when that becomes a reality in your life, you begin to experience the fruit of that reality in your life. And what was binding at times, what held us down, words and things spoken over us, all of a sudden those chains start busting off, because we don't believe them anymore. We believe the truth.
Yes. And you know what, honey? I just want to go back, just jump into chapter 5 just a little bit.
Absolutely.
Because Matthew left everything and he was excited. So he throws a huge party for Jesus. He is excited about leaving the old and into the new. And guess what? He's bringing all of his buddies. They are not really reputable characters in his town. Jesus goes, hangs with them all. Guess who shows up? Church people.
Yeah, that's right.
And they had an opinion
about what was going on.
Yes.
They had an opinion about what Jesus was doing with them.
Yes, and I'm telling you, sometimes when you begin to leave behind, and you are saying, I am in, I want to grow, I want to follow and leave the old into the new. Yeah. There's going to be some people who are going to share opinions with you and saying, what the heck?
And we want to encourage you. It's okay. They're going to share opinions. They're going to share their value and their views, and that's okay.
Yes.
The danger is we allow that to influence us and bring us back into the system.
Because they were speaking to Levi like he was like, he's a tax collector.
He's an outcast.
He was back in that system. He's not even allowed to be here. They were speaking of his old system, and he had left it.
And many times people remind you of your past.
Yes.
And you just need to learn to leave those people.
Yeah.
Just
Maybe say
walk away.
shut up.
Yeah, that could
Or
be a
maybe-
word. Or get out of my lane. Or
Yeah. No, but I'm just saying sometimes that triggers us to say
Yeah.
to go back, and we're just here to say you are
I think that's
overcomers.
important as
Yeah.
we're bringing this to close. That
Yeah.
often triggers will do one of two things.
Yes.
One, they'll motivate us to move forward,
Yes.
or they'll get us to go back to the familiar.
And I wrote that down. When something comes your way to trigger you, an obstacle, look at it as
situation.
an opportunity. Yay, I get to grow.
Yeah.
I am going to find new, and I'm going to step into something fresh
Absolutely. Yeah.
again.
Absolutely.
Because it's never meant to put a prison around us and
No,
stay there.
absolutely
And
not.
so, yeah.
You're
That's
talking of two people that are in the process
Yep.
of experiencing freedom.
Yeah.
You're looking at
Yes.
two people that broke out of the system bubble.
Yeah. And there was times we're saying,
Oh, yeah.
we were so excited. We're like, we can't go back. We can never go back.
That's right.
And yet there's sometimes when somebody would say something or trigger something in us,
Yeah.
all of a sudden we'd go back into that mindset of a victim.
And then
And-
right away we can see the doors start closing and
Yes.
locking up again. But then we have to stop. We have to
No.
stop. No, I'm not going there.
No.
I believe that it's possible for me to overcome this.
Yes.
I know that God's plan is for me to experience fullness and
Yes.
everything about. So I put that key back in and I twist the lock.
Yes.
Then I begin to reframe the way I think. No, that's not true. That's not where I'm going.
Yeah.
And I take a step back and overlook things. It's interesting, the story in Luke chapter 5. They couldn't get to Jesus because of the crowd. So what did
Yeah.
they do? Did they stop?
No.
They took a step back and they looked around to see how they could make this work.
Right. Where's the opportunity?
And so they went up on the roof and started taking the tiles
Yeah.
off and sent them to that way.
Yeah.
They became innovative. They weren't going to
Yes.
stay locked.
Yeah.
And that's a tendency. We can easily stay locked.
Yes.
But now you step back and look.
Yeah.
Peter was fishing all night. He tried everything. It said he worked hard.
Yeah.
But until Jesus showed up in the scene, he took a point back and looked and said, if you say so, we'll go fishing some more. And they caught abundance of fish that the nets are breaking and the boats began to sink. And then the paralytic
Yeah.
allowed his friends to be involved in his life and bring him to that point. And
Yeah.
he walked up and he
Yeah.
took what was his obstacle
Yeah.
and he carried it. The
That-
obstacle didn't carry it.
yes.
He carried it.
Yeah.
He got up, picked up the bed,
Yes.
what was his life,
Yeah.
and now it
He's-
was subjective to him,
Yes.
not the other way
That's
around.
powerful. I love
It's
it.
powerful. And then
Yes.
we have Matthew the tax collector.
Yes.
Successful in every aspect of things. No friends,
Yeah.
outcast because of what his job was,
Yeah.
what what he did for a living.
Yeah.
Jesus said, hey, I see value in you.
Yes.
And I'm going to want you to invite you to come follow me.
Yeah.
And as a result, changed his life.
Yeah, and-
He left everything behind him.
Yeah. Amazing.
He left everything behind him.
And I feel that's the same today.
Absolutely
I feel like
it
I
is.
don't care where you are. I don't care what you've been. I don't care how big of a mess. I don't care if you feel like a total outsider. I feel like that is what
Yeah.
Jesus is saying. I see you.
Yes.
I am looking and I found you.
Absolutely.
And I invite you to a journey of growing, to
I
abundance.
love that. I invite you to a journey
Yes.
because we've been saying all along
Yeah.
as we close,
I think
as
you
we
said
close.
that before. I know. Okay.
we said this was a journey.
Yeah.
This wasn't an instant fix.
Yeah.
But I want to encourage you in that journey.
Yes.
You're building something in your life. God is building something in you. Something's coming alive.
Yeah.
And you keep putting one foot in front of the other.
Yes.
Don't stay on your mat.
Yes.
Get up.
Yeah.
Pick up what was your
Yeah.
hindrance
Leave.
and leave what's behind you
Yeah.
and move to ahead.
Yes.
Thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you,
These
guys.
5 key
It's been
sessions.
awesome.
It's really been awesome
I
because we've
loved
had a
them.
chance to
Yes.
interact with it, that kind of stuff.
Yeah,
And so,
it's been so
we
good.
just want to wish you all of God's best. And I'm just so
Yes.
glad that you've journeyed with us.
Yes.
It's not an
thank
end
you.
to Table Talk.
No, we are going to
This is
see
a-
you Wednesday again.
Absolutely, but
Yeah.
this was the series that we want to give you, and
Yes.
so if you've enjoyed it, you value it, we encourage you to share with your friends, share it with people,
Yeah.
because it's important for people to
Yes.
walk in the freedom that God's called them to walk.
Yes.
Thank you so much for joining us.
for
Have a
coffee
great
this morning.
Sunday.
Happy Father's Day.
Yes, happy
Have
Father's
a great
Day.
weekend.
Have a great week. See you Wednesday again at 7:30. Bye bye.
Yes.